All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Sport webinar. Today's date is July 5th, 2017, and this is a Wednesday morning webinar. And the title of today's webinar is Training on the New Predictor Trader that is coming soon. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar. Other webinars we might have, our live trading room or anything else with Viper Trading Systems, should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? All right, if not, we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, still some people coming in. That's okay. That's okay. By the way, if you see any trades or anything like that, just holler out. Now, what I'm going to show this morning for the sake of time is going to be market replay like I do on the other webinars, because you know we call the trades live in the room. I mean, you know, there's no ambiguity about that or anything. We've got the lines drawn. You know, I say right where I want to get in the trade and things like that. But to show this predictor trader, we're going to have the data moving a little bit quicker. Okay, now first, before I go over the predictor trader, I want to show you what is being added to Object Trader. Okay, you won't be able to do this on your own yet, but I'm going to go ahead and turn Object Trader off for just a moment. When you get the new version of Object Trader, you will have a new section called Predictor MTF Parameters. Okay, now predictor is going to have the Object Trader is going to have predictor built right into it. Okay, so technically I'm writing over these predictors if I use a 4-range chart if I use the old template. Okay, remember the old template even without Object Trader has predictors on it. So since Object Trader has predictor in it, you're going to be writing over the other one, so to speak. And if they're the same, everything's cool. I'll show you what I'm talking about. If I was to set this at like a 6-range bar instead for predictor and turn it on this chart, you're going to see 2 sets of predictors. See there? Okay, that's because predictor is already in our template. Remember, our template right here has predictor already in it. Okay, and predictor that's in it. Now, by the way, there's going to be 2 predictors when it's on Object Trader, but you won't need to worry about that because Object Trader has to call predictor to take the trade. Okay, so you'll have a predictor that's totally blank like this, and then you'll have your predictor like this if you happen to have them on the same setting. If you don't use the same setting, obviously you're going to have double predictors. Okay, so if you want to do Object Trader type charts, you can simply remove the old predictor, okay, and then save that template as a new template. And of course, without Object Trader on this chart, you don't have any predictors, okay? So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is just simply have it set at the same predictor because we trade 4-range charts, okay? So let's go ahead and do just that this morning. I'm going to go to Object Trader. And since I restarted it and didn't save it, it remembers my 4-range anyway, so we're good to go. Okay, so with your new predictor though, you're going to be able to choose, you know, you can pull up that predictor by range bars. You can pull it up by, you know, the Ranko bars if you happen to have Logic or, you know, the Unirankos or any of the other Ranko type bars, you'll be able to use those too. And, you know, just set it the way you like it, okay? In the trading room, we're going to be using the 4-range bars, so that's what I'm going to set it at today. Okay, so when you get yours, you'll have this little window here that you'll be able to use. Okay, let's go ahead and go into the Object Trader. I'm going to leave this set at a max of 10 on this for right now because the reason I want to show you that you can add in and things like that. Now, the predictor trader has got a few things that it's got to have added to it. And right now, one of them is scaling in, okay? So this won't do us a whole lot of good today, but pretty soon it will. I've got that almost worked out, and he's going to be sending that to me pretty soon. Okay, let's go ahead and start up the trader. Now, the predictor is also going to have a trend type deal built into it. Okay, Predictor Trader is actually simply doing this. It's drawing a region around predictor. It's just like if you had a region set, long above, short below. Okay, that's if you use it without the trend. With the trend turned on, you will only be able to take a long trade on green ones and a short trade on the white ones. May not have any white for a while on oil. Yeah, here was one right here. Here's some right here. Okay, that you could have taken with predictor here, 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 and here. So those with the trend would simply change to short as long as this midband is a short color. If the midband is a long color, you can't even set it short. Okay, like for instance, if I put this in predictor mode and put it on required trend and try to do a short, it won't even let me do it. It'll only let it do long. Okay, now if I turn on auto LESE, this will automatically turn on my longs for me at each predictor. Okay, that way I could simply take this trade, I could take this trade, I could take this trade, might have stopped me out, might not have. This one would have worked, this one would have worked, and so on. Now we're going to build some logic into it, in the next, it may take a month, just to be truthful with you, it may take a month to do that. But the logic that we're going to build into it is going to be so that if you take some of these predictors that don't work, you can get out of them quickly. Okay? Because the way we do it in the room is if we get into a predictor type trade, box in, and it goes against us, we get out pretty quick, don't we? Okay? Now, if I wanted to take this particular trade short or long on predictor, all I would have to do is make sure I turned off the trend and set it just like that. Okay, now this being a region type trade will simply, if it closes above the predictor, we'll fire the trade, or if it closes below the way I've got it set. But the predictor trader also has the ability to do touches. Okay, so I can do a touch trade even on this. For instance, if it touches above the predictor, now this box doesn't matter, but I'm just trying to show you where it's a region. Okay, because predictor, with the way I've got it set right now, would fire 2 ticks above that box or 2 ticks under that box. Okay. Peter says my audio went out. Has everybody else got my audio fine? Testing audio 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's back. Good. Okay. Everybody see what I'm talking about here? Predictor is simply a region. Okay. The way we designed this is so that it could be reading just like a region and take the trade. For instance, could I short this predictor up here? Yes. Would I want to? Well, maybe not, but let's face it, there's a lot of times they get to these predictors, and you might even say, you know what, if you touch 6 ticks below yourself again, I'll take you, and it would probably fire the trade right in through here. You see what I mean? So you'll be able to set it even on the fly. Okay, now I'm going to start this up, and we're going to take a chance. This is at basically midnight, so I didn't trade oil at midnight. Let's see what our predictor does for us. We'll just simply leave it predictor touch above. And now when this first bar turns on, by the way, when you start a new session, does everybody know that all of your object trader type stuff will reset itself? The reason for that is because you're going from one day to the next. Okay, or one session to the next, like a day session, where it draws that session line. Okay, so we've got our predictor set. I'll turn on the other one too. And we'll just see, matter of fact, we'll just take it with 1 tick above if we can get it. Let's see if it gets it. So it's right at even with the predictor right now. It did do 1 tick. It does have to, there you go. You just got your confirmation tick. Okay, so predictor fired the trade. Okay, now just like all of the object trader type trades, you can just simply move your targets, wherever you want them. For instance, I see a nice swing across here, one across here, like so, and I'd probably do my trade something like that. Okay. Now, since we're not in trend mode, if we get a blue predictor up there and it's lower, I can actually even reverse the trade if I want to. Okay, it's got features like that built into it also. Now, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but let's see if we get a blue predictor here pretty soon. And I'll reverse it. It may not work, but I still show you how to reverse it. Matter of fact, all I've got to do, even while this is working right now, see, it's already above predictor. So if I want to actually short the predictor, let's let it get above this swing first, though, if it's going to. Because I don't want it to go back in this predictor and short me. But I might want to take a predictor if it, see how these are kind of going down like that? Maybe we'll get a predictor right about through here. Looks like it to me. And I'll show you how even the reverse feature will work if we can get that particular trade. Does anybody have any questions on the way predictor will work? Predictor is strictly going to be a region, but it can be an automatic region. It can turn, notice how I just got in that trade and it turned off longs and shorts. That's because we got into a trade. If you leave it with auto, it'll stay trading for you. Okay. Now you want to be careful with that, because obviously if I left this like this and turned both of these on, okay, this would actually, get me out of the trade scale, for instance, or even reverse it, right? But it would be taking this predictor, well, if another one doesn't show up, that is. Oh, and that's another thing about Predictor Trader too. It looks at the last predictor. So even though this is outside this predictor, if I wanted to, I could actually even fire more trades by simply turning on my long touch, for instance. Let's see if we can get something. I'll add 2 contracts if it does, just for the fun of it, just to show you how it works. Now we're feeling a little bit of heat on the trade. No big deal. Let's just see what we get. It's a green predictor, so I'm going to take a chance at it. Okay, now I don't think the scale in part works yet on predictor, but I'm going to find out here real quick. He sent me one more right before the room, but I don't know if it had the scaling because I didn't get to basically get into the email that much. It did scale in. Okay, so it is scaling in on predictor. Okay, so we're in 6 right now. Okay. Now, if it'll take out this little swing, there we go. We just got power meter 1 and 2. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on. Let's just go for the gusto for the fun of it. But if it hits this predictor, I'm going to reverse it. All right, just simply by saying, okay, if it goes to this predictor, I'll just hit reverse. So the predictor circle is active until the next one prints. That's correct. So in other words, if I wanted to add even more down here, all I'd have to do is leave my long on. Okay, now notice I've got my reverse on right now. This may just blow through this, but I'm going to reverse it anyway, just for the fun of it. Just to show you, we're going to draw a line here. And if it gets within 1 tick of that line, see your reverse right there? Now, is that a good place to reverse it? I don't know. But notice how it did nicely reverse the trade, just like it was told to. It's going to be a pretty cool little trading system. It's still, just like all object trader stuff, it's still basically, to where you're going to use it the way you trade. Now, we're right at resistance. We're feeling some heat on that trade, obviously. But did you notice how it did reverse it when I told it to? I can even add to it if I want to. If it goes 1 tick below, see how it just added? Pretty cool. Wow, that turned out to be a decent trade, didn't it? Pretty decent trade after all. Now, what if I said, well, you know what? I'm not in a trade right now, but what if I did want to go ahead and take this trade if it takes out the bottom of the predictor? See there? See how you can just turn it on live? It's a region, so it's looking to take that trade just like a region does. These are active regions as long as these are turned on. Okay? Now, I couldn't have shorted this, though, if I would have turned on required trend, because with required trend, it will not let me short this. Well, we just got Couldn't move my target in time. That's okay. You want to go ahead and short it again? We'll go ahead and short it again. We'll keep our stop just above this swing right here. This looks like it's heading down pretty good to me. Okay, now what if you were saying, you know what, I want to go ahead and go for the next predictor? Well, you can go ahead and have it set up and ready to go, because all I have to do is, well, I'm short on the chart, so I'll just simply turn on predictor. We'll do a close outside, and let's just see if we can get a predictor. Didn't get that one. And we can even do a short inside on it because it's predictor type trade. Now it's looking at this predictor right now, by the way. Now it's looking at this one. Let's do a touch +1 instead. See if we can get something. There we go. We just got something. Okay, now I'm in 2. What if I wanted to add, if it comes down below the bottom of the predictor? I could just simply turn it on. And if it does come below the bottom of the predictor, or even into the top if I wanted to, just simply by turning that on, see, I just added 2. It's just a neat little tool to be able to trade these markets manually as far as that goes until we get some really auto type features built into it. But as you can see, it'll work quite well. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get this target out of the way. And what if we wanted to add with another predictor? Well, this predictor is still in play up here. So if I turn this on, now this predictor is in play. See it? I got 2. Let's see if we can add 2. That's predictor. See if we can add 2. Comes within 1 tick of it, it should add it. Came within 1 tick, but it wasn't quite close enough. So we missed adding. Notice that it came within 1 tick, but it didn't give the confirmation tick to be able to roll over. And I think that just missed the predictor by just a tad. You want to try to add another one? We can do that. You want to try? We'll see if we get another one. By the way, I can also, if I want to, see, we're getting a little double bottom, so to speak, so far. So could I actually turn this on to go either way? With required trend, I couldn't, but with required trend off, I could. So let's see if we close outside predictor, if we wanted to actually jump into a reverse. May not get it, but let's see if it does. Remember, if they break support, they'll go back up in that big range. Let's see if that gets us anything. Maybe, maybe not. There you go. Just got a reversal. See how easy and, well, even profitable if you know how to trade it as far as that goes, right? Now, if you have required trend on, you'll only be able to take shorts right now because, see, the mid-band is a short color. But what if you wanted to take a long off of this predictor? You just simply turn that off, the required trend, and we'll see if we can get, looks like we're trying to head up a little bit. Let's see if we can get another predictor trade. Just like a region, that's the top of it. And we're going to do touch plus. I think I just missed it. I did. Perfect little trade, though, wouldn't it have been? I just missed it. I've got my data moving 100 times, so I just missed the trade. Everybody see that? Pretty cool. Could we have just shorted this predictor right here? Yes, we absolutely could. Any questions so far? Let's see. So the predictor circle is active. Oh, I already answered that. Yeah, your predictor, let me slow this down a little bit. Your predictor is actually active anytime these are turned on. Okay, if you've got long enabled or short enabled on, for instance, if I was to go 1 tick below that white predictor right there, yes, it would short it. Are both white and red circles active at the same time? No, unless you don't have the trend on. The trend is simply saying I'm only going to take white predictors for short with the mid-band short. Now with this turned off, I can still short this one, but if I turn this on, see, I can't do anything but a long trade. But what if I did want that short? See there? I just turned it on. Now I'd put my stop fairly tight, I think, because this looks like it may trend up. We'll find out. But that is a white predictor, so by turning that required trend off, I could take that trade. Now when we get this thing fully the way I want it, I want this to be so lightning oriented that it'll literally trade on its own. To give an example, let's say, let's go back here. See, this trades right through here to give an example. Let's say that this trade here you never closed out, so you never got in, but then you had it set for long inside and you happen to get in right like through here to do the stair step of lightning. So when it took lightning out, you'd be out of the trade. You could be back in it, lightning takes you out, and so on. That way when you get into some of this choppy stuff, you can actually scalp it pretty easily. And I'm trying to revamp lightning also, because right now at this time, lightning looks at both sides of the trade, both sides of the coin, so to speak. It's looking right now, for instance, lightning is looking at, well, it's double top there, so it's not looking at this swing right here. Okay, we'll find out if that meter goes red. Let's see. Because what I want it to start doing is simply, if you have a high, a low, and a lower high, even by a tick, I want it to turn red. See, it turned red right there, which is good. It even does it on double tops. Okay, but it also looks to the left to trade the right, and you may get a green one quicker than I want it. So I want it only to look to the right side of the chart. Because to me, for instance, right now, this is a high. You had a high, a low, a same high. You took out the swing. This is a little micro short, isn't it? It's just a micro short. Now, it may not work out. We don't know. But it is micro short because lightning said it is. Does everybody know also about the new region? I have noticed that it does not scale in. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. We're up pretty nicely on this. I'm going to go ahead and close this. Let's go to a region. And we'll see if we can get us a little trade here. Let's go ahead and, just for the fun of it. Now we should be able to scale into this. I probably went the wrong direction on that. I drew my region in the wrong spot, but let's just see if it works. We'll keep our stop tight. I want region like it always has been, and I found out just while I was playing around with it that it doesn't go ahead and scale in on the region. Okay, because for instance, if this comes down one tick below the bottom of this region, I should be able to add 2 contracts, right? Or if it popped up above this region, I could actually, well, it did scale in. He may have sent me the different version then, because this was not scaling in. Let's see if it'll do it again. Yeah, it's scaling in. And let's see if it'll scale out. If it goes 1 tick above, we'll take 2 off. We can even move it live and make it do it. Touch plus didn't get it. Well, it looks like it's a good short anyway, doesn't it? See if we can scale out to the upside. So we got long out 2. No, well, yeah, it did. It got in through. Well, it may have hit a target, didn't it? Let's see if we can scale out. We got 3 on. See if we can get it to scale out. Well, that's a good strong trend, isn't it? That's real strong. Trying to see if it'll scale out this silly thing, because with long out it should. On a touch plus 1. So maybe it scales on the short but not the long. I'll have him look at that also. That should have scaled out. So we've got long out, long enabled region, touch plus 1, so that should have scaled out. Let's see if it's scaling in then. Yeah, it's scaling in. Okay. It's not scaling on the long side. That's cool. We'll fix that. All right. Let's see. Do you prefer the touch or close, Mark, on your question? It really depends on the particular situation that you're running into. You know, I kind of like it both ways as far as that goes. I use touch more than I do close. To give an example, let's say that we think this is going to go like right through here, more to the downside. Let's see if we can get something. See there? See, that's like a touch, and that's right at resistance, so that's a trade I wouldn't mind taking. See there? Wow, look at that thing drop. Mercy. Remember this? We were trading this in the room. Could we see if we get to the next predictor? Absolutely. Let's see if we can. Let's see if we can take a predictor trade. We'll do a touch plus 2. And you'll see that if it gets to that predictor, on this side is outside, this side is inside. So if it shot up to here, it would short it. Or if it hits here and then pops back down, it should short it. See if it does. Oh, thank you. I think I just missed it too, didn't I? Because I had it set on wedge. Let's take it anyway then. No, we can add if it comes back to predictor. Absolutely. Everybody see how the predictor is going to work? And any questions on the way it is going to work? Because basically we just made it to where it's like a little auto toy, little auto tool that you have. I'm not sure why that added just then. It added, oh, I know why it added. Duh. Everybody know why it added? Remember the trend? It's taking this predictor also. So for instance, let me just show you how this works. This predictor is active right now because I don't have anything turned on. If I got that turned on, if it touches the top of that box, see there? See, it touched that one. That's the white one. And if it touches this next one, it'll do it again. See there? That's the white one. If you do it again, see, and it'll go as many as your max contracts too. Okay, so be careful with how many max contracts you set, because that will make a difference in your bottom line. Okay, so be careful with that. Let's go ahead and close it out and let's try it again. We've got predictor, touch, plus 0. See how it just touched outside the low. Tried to move the target, but that's okay. Okay. But notice how this didn't stay on. But if I do turn this on like this, this will actually stay. And each and every time you can actually add contracts even. See, I've got a total of 10 contracts on here. And it's only looking at the white one right here. Okay, let's go ahead and do like touch plus 2. Do it one more time. Should come right back to here. Touch plus 2. We called this trade in the room, remember it? See how easy that is to do that? Nice little predictor trade. It's just like an automatic region. The main thing is you've got to be really careful, because since it is automatic, that's why we leave it to where this all turns off unless you have it in like an auto mode. With this being an auto mode, notice how that already got me in 10 contracts? That's because it's oscillating around this predictor. Okay? And you want to be real careful with that, because it'll do however many. If you had your object trader set for 4 contracts here instead of 10, that's all you'd get. Okay? But I've got mine set at 10, so if you've got it set on any kind of touch, if it oscillates around there, it can fire boom, 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 and you could have easily 5 sets of contracts in there. Okay? If I had set it for just simply close, see if I can get another one, then it shouldn't do that, because it's closing a bar. But if I am on auto, it could close more than one beside this. See, it's looking for this predictor now. Let's see if we can get this trade. We might. Maybe, maybe not. Okay, well, now why that got that one is beyond me. Let me think. That shouldn't have gotten that trade right there, I don't think. I'll have to talk with the programmer, because that's close plus 0, but it did get this one, didn't it? Yeah, I'll have to check into that and see why that fired, because to me that shouldn't have fired yet. Let's see if we can get one more. We'll do a close. We don't want it to go above here. So if that touches predictor and closes below it, it should fire that trade. See if it does. Looks like it was looking at the previous predictor, Kenneth, but it shouldn't have been. And there may be something, I know he had to revamp predictor somewhat, but the way this is drawing on the chart is exactly the way I've got mine set, so that technically should, let's do a close like plus even 3, or touch plus 3, and see if it'll fire that. And we missed that one. That predictor for some reason is not showing up. It actually went with that one. I'm not sure why. But that's also why we're testing it right now too. Believe me, I've spent probably more time testing than trading, because, you know, Object Trader has got quite a bit on it nowadays. A lot. And it's even getting complex for us to work with, which is, you know, a little on the scary side, simply because it has gotten such a big program that we've got to be real careful not to break anything else. You know, anytime you're looking at lines of code, all you got to do is have a comma in the wrong place, and it could stop another type of trade from ever firing, because, you know, they're all if then statements and all kinds of loops and things like that. You know, so it doesn't take much to break them. I think we just ran out of time on the chart, because I only downloaded to about 10 o'clock when I was getting ready to start the webinar. Questions so far on the predictor trader? It basically will mean that you'll be able to trade this any way you want and live on the chart. And as you see these predictors happen, you know, in real time, you know, you'll be able to actually turn that thing on and actually take the trade. Now, like I said, be careful if you go into auto mode, because this will stay on and this will max your contracts out. Okay. I mean, if you had that set at 30, it could get 30 contracts. So be very, very careful with that type of thing, because, you know, in a full auto mode, it's simply looking at the bottom of that predictor right now. And if it got within 3 ticks of it, it would fire a trade. Okay. And if you had already as many contracts as you wanted on, for instance, then you want to just simply turn it off. And you can't turn it off if it's on auto. See this? See, I can't turn any of these off. I have to actually turn off auto LESE and then turn it off. Because in auto mode, it's going to look at every single one of them. I ran this thing for 2 days straight, and it did 107 trades and did a little over $3,000, just doing, 4 contracts and letting it run on its own. But I wouldn't let it run on its own, obviously, because, it was up as much as, 2,000 and all the way back to 1, and then back to 2, and then back to 25, and then back to 15, and that's the way anything like this would do if you just simply set it on auto. Okay, but you can clearly see by looking at these, that's a trade, that's a trade, that's a trade, and that's a trade so far. And with Predictor Trader, you're going to be able to take some of those trades like that and do pretty nicely. And if they go against you, we're going to have some things set into it to where, let's say, for instance, that you took the trade here, okay, and you have it set for like lightning 2, to give an example, to get out. Well, see, it never got you out of the trade, so you would have stayed short and you would have gotten that nice move. Okay, this predictor right here would have fired right here, never got you out of the trade, and you're still going down. Let's see, what did you use for your stops and targets when you ran it 2 days straight? Actually, what I did on the targets and everything, Diane, I ran it on this, it was actually 8, 10, 15, and 50, and I had a 15-tick stop. I had a 25-tick trigger for break even, and I ran it like that. Now, I'm not saying that'll work, believe me. I don't personally think that there's too many fully auto for an all-day trader that will really make you money day in and day out. The market's changed too much. But if we can get some of this stuff built into it, some smart logic, and that's what I'm in the process of trying to do, is I think it'll do pretty nicely. To give an example, the logic that I want to build into it, this trade here, fired, you can clearly see that you've got lightning 1, okay? Let me just draw it from down here so we can get some blue on it. Okay, you fired it here, so you had a high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Remember how we do that? Okay, but when did this actually technically change lightning 1? Well, on this particular one, this is that thing I was talking about in the room this morning. See how those candles went straight up? You would have not gotten out of that trade until it took out that swing. And it didn't on that bar, but it did on that bar. Okay, so you would have still kept a lot of your trade, but by the time it took you out, you were back in it. But what if this trade would have done this instead, and you would have had a little 4-range bar that went like this, and then it went like this, and then it went like this? That's when lightning would pick the trade off the chart. Okay, and that's what I'm working with the programmer on too. Is, so to give an example, like right here, so you have a low, you have a high, you have a higher low by a tick. You didn't close here, but you finally closed here, and it would take you out of the trade. Okay, now we'll have to experiment a little bit with that because we all trade 4-range bars. But what I want to do for the very near future is to get it to where we can get out of these trades at a good point. Now keep in mind that if lightning does straight bars up, there is no lightning. Matter of fact, you can clearly see the lightning would have been bar up, all bars up, 1 bar down, broke the swing, lightning would have triggered, and it did trigger. Okay, so it would have gotten you out of the trade right there. That's late to me. But if the silly thing would have done this instead, that I drew that just a minute ago, then it would have been cool. And most of the time they do. Here's another example right here. See where you have a low, a high, a higher low, and it takes out your high right here, then you could be out of that trade. And it showed your lightning right there. So, could we get out earlier? The answer is yes. And I think it'll keep you out of some of this scarier stuff when it starts really going sideways. Okay, something like, let's see if I can find something that'll show like that. I want to find a scary area that we could see how it would trade. Let's go ahead and kill that. Yeah, here's an area right here. This is one of those areas that's the toughest because, see, you do have an A, B, C, So obviously you could, even if we put algorithm in it like that, you'd still fire your trade late. Okay. So if, for instance, it did fire like right here, then you'd get out when it closed the bar right here. So it wouldn't kill you. You know, this one here would have probably worked. You would have gotten at least a scalp. And looks like this one would have worked. You would have gotten a scalp. You know, as long as you're not breaking swings, you know, that's what I want to build into it so that we can all stay in a trade if at all possible. And again, it's just basically going to be a nice new little trader that everybody will be able to use and use it like little regions. Can it be set to fire at the midline of the predictors? Well, you can set it any way you want it, Diane, on your question. Absolutely. The way you would do that, let me get rid of these lightnings and I'll show you. See, it's just a region is what it is. Let me get rid of lightning 1 and lightning 2. Is that lightning 1? Yeah. Okay. So Diane's talking about firing it at the mid-band, so you don't get this beautiful trade though, right? But you would get this one, you would get this one, you would miss that one, but you did have two nice trades. The way you would do that is simply draw your little region so we can tell where the bottom of it is and the top of it is, right? So we basically got 51 to 62, that's an 11 tick box. So to get that middle of that, we'd have to do, on a short side, I'd say 6 ticks. Okay, so you would probably want to do that. Let's see, you couldn't get this trade here because that would fire here. You're trying to get this one here. So basically what you would do, you'd do the bottom of it. Instead of short outside, you do short inside, and you do touch plus 6. Because see, it would have to touch here plus 6 and roll over. Let me think. Yeah, inside. That's right. Because see, if it was outside touch, it would have to do 6 ticks out or whatever ticks. But if it's inside, it's looking inside the box, 6 ticks in, and it would fire that trade. Yes. So for instance, if you would have set it that way, it would have fired here. It would have fired here. Well, actually, it would have probably fired. Let's see, that one went up through it. That one probably ticked back down, so you would have fired right in through here. You want to try it and see how it works? We've got 20 more minutes of the webinar. I'll back it up to 9 o'clock. Okay, let me back it up to 9 o'clock. That's one beauty about playing with market replay. You can do what you want. Let's see if I can get it. Come on, going clear to 8:30. There we go, 8:50. We got 8:50. We'll just let it go forward a little bit. Let it go ahead and load. It'll just take a second. And we'll try that. And that's a good point, because I do see that quite often hit that mid-band like that. If you took advantage of the max profit, would it have shut down at a high point? Is that per chart or per count? Well, Kenneth, on your question, that's actually per chart on this side, and the account doesn't actually shut off. It just sets off little alarms that let you know that you're at your top, because sometimes people don't want to get out of that, for instance, right? Y'all want to see if that'll fire? We'll see if it'll fire real quick. We have this predictor right here. So what we're going to do, we're going to set predictor short inside touch plus 6 and see if we can fire it. Let's try. See what we get. Yeah, see, keep in mind that you'd have to consider that being a region inside. Remember, short outside of a box is outside the box, and a short inside the box is shorting it inside by X ticks. Can you have active ellipse flash on and off? Walter, that's something that I do want to add to it. I thought of that myself too and talked to the programmer, and he can do that. That's not a problem, because what Walter's talking about right here is that that predictor would flash on and off, or maybe stay on but highlight it deeper color or something as it flashes. Remember, it's about 9:15 that that's set up, so let's see if we can get a little trade here. So it's looking for that trade. Or if it gets another predictor, it's looking for a different one. See if we can get it. I got it going 100 times, so we're going to have to slow it down here in a second. Now, now this is something you want to be careful doing. Notice how I didn't have the trend turned on, so it fired that trade under, matter of fact, at the midband. See it right there? Turned out it worked, which is fine. Okay, but if you don't want it to do that, be sure and turn off the required trend. Otherwise, that's just a region. It's strictly saying I'm a region. Let's see if we can get that trade. So we got short, touch plus 6. It should fire right here. Let's see if it will. Now it's going to have another predictor more than likely. Probably in through here somewhere. There it is. Let's see how close to that it fires, Diane, and anybody else wanting to watch it. So we got to set it short inside, touch plus 6, so it's looking only at the middle of the predictor. And with the trend on, it's only looking at the white one, not the pink one or the magenta one. Okay, it's inside it a little bit right now, I think. No, it's just right at it. We know it went inside, so let's see when it does. I think we said it was about 9:15, wasn't it? Still 9:10 right now on the little clock. Naturally, this is a little hindsight because we just saw this happen, and plus we traded it in the room. But it'll prove if it'll fire where it's supposed to. Is it the next predictor? There's another one even? Okay. I think you'd miss out on some pretty good trades, but it would keep you in some of this other stuff from getting whacked around too. Because you don't have to get every trade, do we? Now this should be the retrace that gets it. Because we said it was at 9:15. As soon as the white predictor shows up, I'll pull the line to the middle of it. There it is. Touch plus 6. Didn't get it. Not sure exactly why on that. We'll find out here. Let's see if it was touch plus 6. May have been one tick too much. We'll try 5 and see if it does. Because that's an 11 tick. So technically it should have been 5, shouldn't it? Let's see if it gets it. No, it's not going to get it. Maybe. Nope. It's getting lower highs. Okay, so it would have gotten it right here. We still got 10 more minutes. Let's just back it up one more time. Ah, darn it. It goes back to 850. Size of the predictor important? Well, see, that's the other thing, David, on your question. There are predictors that are larger than other ones. And I'm having him look into that to get them to draw the same. Let's see if we can get that one more time. Let this go ahead and load. This webinar is strictly about using predictors, so we're just kind of playing around. I'll be posting this webinar, absolutely. Okay, let's see if we can do it one more time. We're at 8:51. Let's fast forward a little bit. Get it to about 9:10, and then we'll stop it. Okay, now let's try it. So we're going to go predictor. We'll do, it's definitely the bottom, so it'll be an inside short. I'm going to even try 4 because, with that being 11, 5, would it actually get it? I'd be willing to take a chance on a tick or so myself, usually. And let's don't get the other trade. And we did get the other trade because it was already firing it. I saw it. So let's close it. See if we can get that. I don't want the other trade. Let's see here. We got required trend on. Go ahead and let it retrace a little bit. And we got touch plus 4. If it doesn't, I'll make sure that he gets the algorithm working where it will. Because I've only used the outside. I haven't used the inside, but if it's a region, it should do it. Short inside touch plus 4. Let's see. Well, we know it didn't fire outside, so that's good. Not there. Yeah, there you go. Okay. So it does do the inside trade. I think what you'll have to do, Diane, on your type of trading like that would be use 4. Because since that region is only 11 ticks, technically 5 would be half of it, right? And if you kind of faded it a tick, that would probably be the way to do it. Because if you think about that, let's see how many it did real quick. We'll go 500 times. See how many did on the middle. Because there's one that worked beautifully. Yeah, I talked to him about actually getting it to fire off the mid to begin with. See, it did it again. Yeah, that inside works pretty well. Would have missed this trade for sure, though. This is the one that didn't work, if I remember right. Let's see if it will on the inside of it instead. 4 ticks, not yet. Missed it though, didn't it? Probably won't get it. See, that's the one thing about it. See how that missed that mid band by almost 3 ticks? That's why I personally use the touch outside. You could always use even like a touch, that way if you don't get a trade, you just miss it, but you might do like a touch plus 2 or 3. That way you're at least getting, a better shot at the trade than somebody that takes it right when it touches the outside of the thing. I mean, it's all about how we all trade, right? Can you use short outside minus 6? Short outside minus 6. I'm trying to think if he did this to where this does minus. I know it does go to minus. So short outside minus 6 would technically be outside, but minus 6, which would be up in here. I'll have to check that. We probably won't go into that in the webinar. I'll check it later to find out. Let's see here. What does everybody think of the predictor trader so far, though? Think you'll like it? Just another tool Viper's offering for members. We don't charge a dime extra for them either. I'm personally out of pocket on just this little part right here, about $2,000. But I want everyone to be able to make money every day, because this type of stuff, if you were to start building Object Trader from scratch, believe me, it costs you a fortune, because it has cost me a fortune. So when we add to it and everything like that, we do it just because we want everyone to be able to make money every single day. If anybody thinks of a trade they want, and you want us to try to have it built into it, we'll give it a shot. My only problem that I've seen so far is my programmer is very, very, very busy. And it usually ends up, I get something and then it's like another 2 or 3 weeks before I get something else. Can you start at the open and look? Yeah. Yeah, let me look at the open over here. Now, what you could always do if you looked at this, let's say that you were looking at this in real time and you said, you know what, I've got a high, I got a low, I got a lower high, and you drew your line, and about the open you saw this predictor right here, you could actually just set it for both ways. If it went above it long and if it went below it short, as long as you had the required trend turned off, because at the time that was green, so it would never fire the trade. Everybody know what I'm talking about by trend, right? The mid band is the trend. So if you use the trend required, it'll only fire short trades with the red, the magenta, or the rose color. And I'm thinking very seriously about having him add the feature to it where it'll look both ways for the rose color or the yellow color. Might be something we think about, because when it goes rose like that, it's usually a nice little bounce off a mid-band. So that might be a good trade, both directions right there. Okay. Let's see. I have been practicing by drawing a region box around the ellipse. Yeah, there you go. Walter, that actually works too, and that's what we've designed into this particular trader. And keep in mind, and I'll go over this real quick, we've got about 3 minutes, but let me just show everybody something important about region. Bear with me a second, I'm gonna go to our website. Bear with me a second, I'm almost at the website, gotta log in. All right, we're at the website. Let's go to the region, types of trades for Object Trader, chart legend for Object Trader, trade types and buttons, chart setup, sniper lines. Let's look at it. Okay, this little chart right here that I did a long time ago, this shows you exactly what long outside, short outside, long inside, short inside does on each button. Okay, the 5 object types, now there's more than 5 object types, so this is kind of obsolete. But if you want to see what a short inside is on the bottom of a region, just simply look at this little chart and it'll tell you. It just means short below line minus an offset. Okay. If it was inside, it would be short above line plus offset. So, just like we showed just a minute ago with this little trade here, short inside just means it'll short it inside the little region. Okay. You could always have it set where it shorts inside the region, and if it blows up through it, you could always change it to long too. You can simply turn on that. Time Trader, Kenneth, on your question, is still not working. What I'd recommend doing on that would be simply to put your little region on your chart, with the time, with the Object Trader time regions, and then just pop your region up at that time. We will have that fixed. There's still so much that I've got to get done. I just wish I had a 24-hour-a-day programmer, but unfortunately he's not a computer, he's a person. But I really want to get this Time Trader set to where it will literally draw a region, and if you have it set like this on Time Trade, that when we start the room, it'll literally be ready to take a trade like a touch plus 2 or whatever, either direction, and even reverse it, and just do it automatically. And we'll have that. because it's just a matter of, you know, the region. When you fire it, you simply put your region on your chart like so. That's a live region, okay? So if I set this to go ahead and take the trade, you know, by turning these on, obviously they will take the trade. And that's what I want Time Trader to do, is just automatically draw the box. But I want the box to draw based on the tiniest little area, you know, like have a little bit of logic built into it. For instance, if this was 8 o'clock in the morning, this is pretty much the way I'd want the box drawn. See the little resistance right there, little support right there? You know, I'd probably want to do that. Now, not this time of day because this is slowed down. Okay, so if you're in a short predictor, can it reverse if it hits a predictor below it? If you're in a short predictor, can it reverse? Oh, I see what you mean, Diane, on your question. Yes. Yeah, for instance, if let's say that you were trading this right here. Let me just kill this. Let's say that you were trading this right here, for instance, and you shorted it. Could you flip it there? Yes. The way you would do that is simply, let's just pretend it's here, right? You have your predictor set for shorts, but you'd have to have it set for long also. Okay, so what you do is you just simply set it for predictor, long, short, reverse it, right? So when this fired, like right here, let's say it touched +2, it would fire, you'd be in the trade. The moment it touched that predictor +2, it would reverse the trade. Then it would fire short, then it would fire a long. Then it would fire short, then it would fire a long. Yes. Yeah, the only way to do that though is you have to leave required trend off. Okay, because it's still looking at this exactly the same way. See, a region, no matter how you draw it, short or long, is simply long above, short below. See, long above, short below, long above, short below. So if you wanted to buy this at the top of that region, yes, you could reverse it, reverse it, reverse it. Just be careful because sometimes they'll just, you know, they'll blow through these bottoms and leave you sitting there, but you always have your stop in. You have to have LESE only on. Well, the LESE, yes, you would have to have this on, because for you to fire like this trade, for instance, right here, if you did this both ways, let's say you had LESE on, no required trend, okay, because you can't turn required trend on or it'll turn that off, see? Okay, so if you did that, yes, this would fire the short. It would probably fire the long right here. You wouldn't get stopped out. You'd get back up here. This would automatically fire each of these trades. Yeah, you just have to have it turned on accordingly. When it's in non-required trend mode, that means that each one of these is just simply a region up there. So it'd be just like drawing an actual region on the chart. So it would look for a long above, short below, short below, long above, right? Short again, and long again. And of course, I'm not counting these like boxes, because with touch, it's going to fire that trade literally the second it gets within 2 ticks of that box. So you'd be in the trade short, you'd be in the trade long, you'd be in the trade short, you'd be in the trade long, you'd be in the trade short. Yeah, you can do that. Just got to know how, and that's what this webinar is for. Anybody have any questions? Hope it wasn't something that goes like, oh my gosh, you know, adding more. Because truthfully, if you want to be just exactly the way some people are, that just love to do just this little deal right here, you can do this trade all day long right there. And you can even do bar closes. You know, you don't have to get totally fancy with it, you know, but we have added the ability to do so. Okay, let's give it 2 more minutes and see if anybody's got any final questions. Currently, the entry is just based on the price versus setting for TNB, but if it additionally needed a bar close as well, would be nice. Well, Kenneth, on your question, you can do a bar close. The way you would do that, keep in mind that if it doesn't touch the region, okay, let's look at this trade right here. Keep in mind, this is just a region, right? So this trade right here would have fired on that bar. See why? Because it actually touched the region and then closed. So if you had it set like this, that would do that. Okay. This one would have done it probably right here on this bar. This one would have done it on this bar. See the bar closed down? Okay. This one would have done it on this bar right here if you had it set for close. But keep in mind, if it never touches the predictor, you'll never get the trade. You know, to give an example like this one right here, see a touch plus 2 would nail that trade because you came to 47 and it got to 49 on the predictor, so that trade would have fired. But if it was a close, it would have never fired because it never touched the predictor. Okay? But you also don't have to take every trade either. Okay, so let's see. So it already requires a bar close after triggering per the TMB setting. Kenneth, only if you have it set on close. If you have it set on touch, it's just like any region. You know, this trade, like right here, for instance, if you had it set for touch plus 2, this was going in real time, you'd simply be saying, okay, if it gets within 2 ticks of 45 and ticks back down, it's going to fire that trade. This would be this trade. Okay, so you're within 2 ticks of it, right? 43. See there? You're within 43. So if it went to 42, it would fire. Didn't go to 42. Well, it did on the wick, so you'd be fired already. Yep. See, because all it has to do is confirm it. You know, the first one got to 43, okay, but it would have to actually get within the 2 ticks plus confirm it, so it did it on that bar. And that trade would have been fired within, basically when it got within 2 ticks and then wicked back down. And keep in mind that predictors are, you know, drawing on the charts, they're checking these levels and things like that. They're not all going to work, you know, because the way the markets move and everything. The one that I've noticed the most that's toughest to work on predictor, and guess which one it is? Anybody? NASDAQ. Because NASDAQ does too many trend changes, and then you're going to have predictors that are only going to be looking for one direction, and you really need to be just, you know, shorting these breaks of these supports and things like we did today in the room. And predictor trade won't catch that. If you actually change trends, you know, you're going to end up, you know, looking for longs only if you got it in required trend. Let's see, so if you took the RE off, then it would take you out at the predictor below instead of reversing. Well, no. Diane, on your, oh, you mean if you left reverse on or a short on also, like this, like that. Let's say if you got in the trade, right, and then you didn't get to a predictor, but you did down here and it went back up, yes, it would get you out of your trade, depending on how many contracts you had. Because let's say if you started here with 4 and you only had this set with 2, then it would only get you out of 2. So you got to always make sure it's the correct number of how many you actually have on. But it will scale it out, yes. Okay, any final questions? I hope everybody enjoyed the webinar. I think you'll like this little trader, and we're going to keep working to make sure that everything works the way it does. Have I used it live yet? Yes, Diane, on your question. But I'm very careful. I watch, you know, because just like we trade anytime, there's lots of times that I'll say that if it gets above this line, I'm going to flip that trade. We did it on NASDAQ several times today. Did it miss any firing? Not that I saw, no. But keep in mind, I use touch. I usually use touch +2. So if you use something like touch +2, you got to have a little heavier stop. But, you know, for instance, if I got in this trade right here, let's just say that this happens to fire. Well, my stop would just be above this swing because that swing's identified right there. I'd be willing to give it that much. Anybody know if it did that after the room closed? Anybody? Because more than likely, it probably did, and you could put your stop just above the swing. Oh, meaning did it not fire? No, it's actually done quite well on the touch. I haven't really used the close, except in testing. And I'm going to keep testing it too because, you know, I want it to do everything that's meant to do. Okay? Thanks everybody for showing up. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll trade again tomorrow. I'd say it's Tuesday, but it's Thursday tomorrow. And of course, I think we've got oil inventory tomorrow, don't we? Because of the holiday. Turn it on, will it still fire? Well, we're out of time, that's why it won't. See, I only downloaded data and it's paused already. It's at the end of my data. Fed minutes this afternoon. Yeah, and don't use something like any kind of an auto deal at a Fed announcement. You want to trade manually on Fed announcements. Don't go drawing regions and things like that, because just like NASDAQ today, to give an example, there were several times that I got like literally a 7 or 8 tick difference fill than where I had my box drawn. You know, it went my way, you know, but keep in mind that it's all about when it fires. Just a heads up on what, Mark? Oh, Fed minutes this afternoon. Yeah, everybody be aware of that if you are trading, because the markets can move pretty quickly. All right, let's do it again tomorrow. Thanks everyone for coming. I'll have this up on the website shortly. Thanks again. And we'll try to have this out. I'll make sure all the scaling in and everything works. I don't think we're going to have, and I'd meant to talk about this today, but I'm going to have it. Let's go ahead and talk about it just for a minute. We're going to have an auto trail stop on this. Matter of fact, we're going to have a little button where you can choose an auto trail stop on all your trades. Okay, so by doing that, I want it to actually be able to be clicked on or off and actually do this automatically, engage trail and everything. And, you know, like this trade right down here, to give an example, you know, when you got this low here, high here, lower here, closed here, you could be out of that trade with a trail stop. You don't have to wait for clear up here. Okay, so we'll build in a lightning 1 and 2 trail stop. And with them doing automatically, I think it'll really help out too. Okay, that's all I have for right now. Thanks everyone. Bye.